Welcome to the Dynamics of Everyday Life, where we demystify some tricky concepts and get to know ourselves a little bit better. Welcome back to the show, everyone. A couple of weeks ago, I had a similar experience to one that I had in the summer. Long-term listeners to the show will remember the episode where I talked about going to an event that everyone else had raved about. And I'd wondered if maybe I'd not read an important memo, as I didn't seem to be enjoying it in the same way that everyone else was. Well, here we go again. I'm in a conference room, everyone else is swept up in the feeling that it's all so wonderful, and I'm sat there wondering what I'm missing. I'm thinking, are we even at the same event? There was an awful lot of pressure in the room to join in with the momentum. There was also a lot of pressure on the sale of a particular piece of merchandise, which I really didn't agree with. I might have been okay with it if it had been framed in a different way, but I felt aggressively sold to, which automatically puts me on high alert. I really didn't want to go along with the groupthink. So I didn't buy the merchandise. But I did sit there feeling very uncomfortable. I wasn't saying anything and I was just nodding along. Would you have known what was going through my head? Probably not. But it has made me consider, why can't we just say what we think? The biggest reason is because we want to be seen as nice. Now, this is not the most exciting word in itself, but we do want people to think well of us. If I'd blurted out what I was actually thinking during the day, I don't think it would have gone down too well. I wasn't the only person with this response, I know that, but I was definitely in the minority. We think of niceness as a virtue. It's great to be seen as polite, agreeable, and easy to get on with. But realistically, is niceness about genuine kindness or more about self-protection? In this instance, I think we can quite clearly see that it was about self-protection. I think I'd have been quickly ostracised if I'd said what was going through my head. Let's look at this through a psychodynamic lens. And when we do that, we can see that being nice is a way of defending ourselves. We want to avoid conflict and anxiety at all costs. We're worried about rejection or the guilt that might consume us if we say what we actually think. We have an unconscious fear that if we say what we really think, that we'll be judged or excluded or even disliked. The fear of exclusion has quite a significant impact on us. So if we think about going back to prehistoric times, being excluded literally could mean the difference between life and death, as we needed to be part of the group to survive. In reality then, it's not actually about being honest, it's about how safe we feel. So what does this look like in everyday life? Well, to start with, there's an awful lot of people-pleasing going on. We've got some examples here. So, saying yes when you actually mean no. Think about this one. How many times have you done that? No judgment here, because I definitely have. We've also got pretending to enjoy something that in reality you actually find boring or cliquey. Think possibly, again, we've all sat through films or activities that we don't want to do just because we think we have to. We've also sat through conversations where we're biting our tongue because we don't want to be difficult or seen as being the odd one out. And let's be honest, coaches do this all the time in sessions. We soften the challenge, we over-empathise, we avoid asking the awkward questions, all in the name of being supportive. But actually, that's not support, that's collusion. So let's dig a little deeper. What's really going on here? Quite obviously, we've got the fear of disappointing others. You know, we don't want other people to be disappointed in us. It's one thing for people to be angry with us, but it's a whole other thing if somebody's disappointed in us. We've also got the unconscious wish to be the good child, to earn love and approval by being compliant. Those patterns of wanting to get our parents' approval don't really ever tend to leave us. And we've also got that little superego voice, thank you very much Freud, that says, don't rock the boat, don't cause trouble, do not make people uncomfortable. Winnicott would call this the false self, the version of us that plays nice, keeps the peace, and prioritises other people's comfort over our own reality. It looks smooth on the surface, but it comes at a cost. It hides our true self, the part of us that's spontaneous, messy, and actually alive. So being nice becomes a kind of an armour. We think it will protect us, but really it stops us from being known. If we struggle with relationships, this can be one of the reasons, because we aren't showing our true selves to people. So how can they have a connection with us when they don't know us? It's as if there's nothing there for them to have a connection with. And here's the twist. Sometimes being nice isn't just about safety, it's about control. Think about it. If I'm endlessly agreeable, overly accommodating, always flattering, I keep you sweet. You're less likely to get angry with me, less likely to reject me. On the surface, it looks generous, but underneath, it's transactional. If I'm nice, you'll treat me well. That's the manipulative side of niceness. Not conscious villainy, but an unconscious bargain. I'll swallow my needs so long as you don't abandon me. Winnicott would still put this in the false self territory, but here it's the false self being used as a kind of currency, niceness as emotional insurance. There's more than one cost to being nice. As well as the lack of connection we will end up feeling with people, we can also start to feel resentful. We can end up leaving conversations and situations thinking, why didn't I just say what I think? Or even worse, why on earth have I agreed to that? And because we're nice, we aren't going to go back and cancel. We've got the short-term benefit of keeping the peace in the moment, but long-term, not so great, as we haven't put ourselves first. So what do we do? Now, I'm not suggesting we all turn into brutally blunt monsters who say the first thing that pops into our heads. I mean, we've got Christmas coming up. Can you imagine Christmas dinners if that was going to happen? But we can start to notice, when does my yes mean, please don't hate me? Am I saying yes because I really want to, or because I think I should? When does my smile hide irritation? When am I playing the role of the nice one, rather than being congruent? I'm avoiding using the word authentic at the moment because I think it's been overused. So I'm going with congruent. I quite like that. I think it's much better. I think it's much more congruent with who I am. And here's the paradox. Often, when we risk saying what we actually think, kindly but clearly, people respect us more, not less. If we have clearer boundaries, then this can make people feel safer around us because they know what we stand for. Now, there can be a bit of pushback from people in our worlds about this, but this is most likely their defence mechanisms kicking in because they're starting to feel a little bit of anxiety. Hold firm. That's their stuff, not yours. My invitation for you this week is for you to consider where in your life you've been being nice to everyone except yourself. Check in and ask yourself, am I being genuinely kind? Am I being nice to stay safe? Or worse, to keep control? Because if we always default to nice, we never really get known. And Winnicott would say that that's the tragedy. The true self never gets to breathe. And if there's one thing we all want deep down, it's to be seen for who we are, not the mask that we wear. And, as always, give yourself some grace. It can be difficult to realise that something that we've always thought of as a positive part of our personality and behaviour has some aspects that don't necessarily serve us well. Now, if you can't wait for the next podcast, and quite frankly, who can blame you, there's my weekly LinkedIn Live sessions. I'm doing these on Monday afternoons at 2:30, so come and join the fun in those. Unless it's a bank holiday, and then I'll have my feet up and I'll be watching a James Bond film. And as we always finish, looking at ourselves at this level can be challenging and unnerving as we develop our awareness, so I'd always encourage that you do this at your own speed. To have a chat about psychodynamics and find out more about the different ways that you can work with me, either as a trainer, coach, supervisor or mentor, then click on the link that's in the show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dynamics of Everyday Life. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As well as producing this podcast, The Dynamics of Everyday Life has lots more psychodynamic fun going on, and you can find out more at dynamicsofeveryday.life.